Thanks a lot for joining us today here on KC2. This is the Purpose Rwanda show, and I am Levi Mutanganchuro. In case this is your first time to tune in to this show, it intends to create a positive, addiction-free and purposeful generation. At Purpose Rwanda, we believe that transformation begins with an individual. It goes on to the family, later on to the community and the society at large. Here at Purpose Rwanda, we make that intention of our show of building a purposeful, positive and addiction-free generation by inviting guests of different backgrounds to help us understand how one can live that life. Joining me today is Dennis Akandwanaho. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you, my brother Levi. It's always a pleasure to be in these wonderful studios of KC2.
Yes.
And especially on this good show, great show of Purpose.
Yes. For those of you who don't know Dennis Akandwanaho, we'll have more time for him. We'll give him more time to explain to us who he is and introduce himself more. But what you can know is that he has once been an addict, but he later on recovered and is now an agent of transformation where he lives and where he works from. Today, our topic is on beating our addictions and breaking the chain. And Dennis will be helping us to understand more how one can break the addiction, can beat the addiction, and of course, break that chain. Dennis, maybe before we even go to our topic, you can start by telling us who is Dennis Akandwanaho.
Thank you. Akandwanaho Dennis is an occupational therapist by profession, who is currently the programs director at Teen Challenge Rwanda. Teen Challenge Rwanda is a faith-based organization and a faith-based rehabilitation program. We given the magnitude of the situation regarding addictions in our nation, we prefer all means possible, so we complement the medical field. So that's where I am currently. I do work in the center, but also I'm into administration. I'm also a student at Kurumbuka Leadership Institute.
Okay, I see. So maybe to start our show, can you tell us, like, briefly your story, your journey of like recovering from addiction? How did it start, and when was that, of course?
Honestly, it would be so long. It's a long story.
Yes, you'll try maybe to summarize and like highlight.
Yeah, it's a journey that took me 17 years. Yeah, so it's hard to put it into a few minutes. But what I can tell you is that there's a certain point in time when I thought I had it all. I had gone to school, I had a job, I thought I had everything. But I was also an addict, addicted to alcohol and drugs. And it caught up with me later on, so I ended up being unemployed. I lost my job, not just my job, I lost my relations, those close to me. I lost my sanity, my health deteriorated. So yeah, basically, it took me like 5 years or 6 for me to recover. Yeah. Yes,
maybe we'll get more into that as we go with our show today, reminding you that we are discussing about beating our addiction and, of course, breaking the chain. Dennis, how do you explain addiction and what are the forms that it takes?
Yeah, addiction, it's mysterious, you know. It's hard, but in simple terms, I can say it is slavery. Yeah, it's being in bondage. It's doing something that you know is harmful to you, but you do it anyway. Yeah, you know it is not good. You know it's having negative impact on you, but you keep doing it. Regarding the forms, there are various forms. The people in Rwanda, or in most cases when you speak about addiction, the first thing that comes in their mind is drugs and alcohol. But it's a bigger picture. You find that many people are having addiction issues, actually. So it may come in form of drugs, And even the categories of drugs differ.
Yes, they do.
There are legal drugs, prescription drugs, painkillers that people are addicted to.
Yeah.
There is other also illegal drugs that also have many classes that we cannot get into. Alcohol is legal, is not illegal, but it's a substance of abuse. However, addiction can take on the form of gambling. It can take on the form of shopping. Some people shop by compulsiveness. Not that they lack, but whenever you have some money, you feel like spending it. Yeah, some people are addicted to sex, and sex goes hand in hand with pornography, with masturbation. Yeah, so it is also a serious issue that people are dying silently with. It could take on the form of phones or internet.
Yes.
Yeah, phones, people are
social media.
Yeah, social media, Facebook. You know, you could be thinking it's people at home that are drinking that have an issue, but you try putting your phone down for 2 hours and see
it becomes a problem. You can't
if you won't lose your peace.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so many things. Gaming, you know, people can spend the whole night playing a video game.
Yes.
There are many, many faces of addiction.
Then maybe what one can ask is, how does addiction come about? Like, what causes addiction?
What causes addiction? There are predisposing factors, so I should say, but it's a process. So I don't know if you're really interested in the cycle of addiction or the predisposing factors.
Like predisposing factors, like what triggers that addiction, and when can one know that he's really addicted? Because I can be drinking 1 glass or 2 or 3 of wine or so. When does one know that he's addicted? Okay,
maybe I'll speak about what makes you vulnerable to being addicted.
Yes, yes.
First of all is if you begin at an early age in case of substances and alcohol, you're more likely to end up being an addict.
An addict, yes.
It also depends on what kind of substance. Some substances, they are no taste. You try it once, you're hooked.
Yes.
Yeah, so it depends on what kind of substance. It depends on what age you began. It depends on the environment that you're in. It depends on the family background. Some families, you find that they are vulnerable to certain behaviors or habits. It depends also on the kind of peer pressure, the kind of cliques or groups that you hang around with. It also can go a long way with, there are many things that I cannot get off hand, but some people do it out of curiosity.
Yes, they want to try it.
Yeah, they're just curious.
Yes, to know her.
He has no issues, but he says, at home they always say, why don't you? But let me also try. Yes. So in trying, you end up getting hooked. Yeah, so it is many aspects.
Yes.
Or even abuse, trauma. Some people even, it begins from accidents, and because to manage the pain, they are given painkillers, and most of these are hard painkillers, opioids or opiates that have a good feeling. So someone begins from the prescribed drug for pain, but he graduates and ends up in heroin and cocaine.
Yes. You've said it right that you work at a rehabilitation center, and my question is, like, from your own personal experience first, and from the experience of those that you meet on a day-to-day basis, what are the consequences of being an addict?
Consequences. There are those that are direct, but they also have far-reaching consequences. Because it will have an effect on your health, of course. It can have, the more you're into it, it reduces your productivity. If it is work, whatever, because you're wasting so much time in that activity, it may affect your health. You end up with mental health issues. It could affect your relationships at work and at home. It could affect the family, home family especially. Many issues, many domestic violence and things like that. Unemployment, loss of purpose in life, loss of direction, loss of life, imprisonment, mental health issues, to mention but a few.
But a few. Yes, and maybe one more question that one would ask as we are discussing about beating addiction and breaking the chain from your own personal story. Like, where did you get the idea to like change? When did you sit down and say, did you even sit down and say, I have to stop this? Was it a preaching when you attended the church service? How did it come about to say that I have to quit this and I have to break this chain?
I had hit rock bottom. I had no way out. I had no choice whatsoever. And I reached a point where it was either changing or dying before my time.
Yes.
Yeah, and time was catching. You know, sometimes you begin when you're young and you realize time is not by your side.
Yes.
So I was just between a rock and a hard place, and I had no way out. So I had tried many rehabilitation times in rehabilitation centers. They helped me to get my sanity until I could look to God for freedom, for lasting freedom.
Was it that easy? I mean, people say that it's easy said than done. Was it that easy, the process of transformation?
I would call it a miracle because if you look at the discouraging rate of relapse, you know, people go to get help, and the moment they are out of the center like this, they are back to business.
Yes.
So it's a process. To me, it's a miracle. I don't take it for granted because I've seen many of my friends try and fail, and some even also try and succeed. So it's
yes. Maybe before we leave that point, what do you say were the main things that helped you to get out of the addiction? Maybe it can be giving up. It can be looking a friend who is not of your type. It can be praying or something. What were the main things that helped you to really break that chain and addiction?
Of course, I know the technical bit, the textbook knowledge, but if it is heart to heart and be honest, what worked with me is that I had to admit. I had reached a point, you know, you begin by saying, I'm not like other people, I will never steal, I will never... But the time comes when you admit that, you know what, you're hooked, and you have no way out, and you're losing your life, you're losing your soul, you're losing your future. So that is how I began, by admitting, and also got to learn that there's no shortcut. It will take me long. So sometimes people think you just get rid of it just like that.
In a blink of an eye.
Yeah, so I knew that it's not just quitting drugs or alcohol, but it's a complete transformation. You know, quitting all bad habits. And that kind of cure where you're able to stand on your 2 feet, no matter the consequence, no matter where you are, and remain sober. It only takes the power of God. So I had to know it is a process. I had to know there's no shortcut. I had to get rid of even a cigarette. Most people think cigarettes are harmless.
Yes.
But until you leave that cigarette, you're not free.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to know, no excuses, and man up, Some people are wise when they are looking for connections with pushers and dealers, but when it gets to their own life, they want to be babies and manipulate. So I had to really face the challenge, stop cutting angles, and that's how, slowly by slowly, I got out of it.
Yes, thank you very much. Reminding you that you're still watching Purpose Rwanda show, where we discuss about creating that individual who is positive, purposeful, and of course, addiction-free. Today, joining us is Dennis Akandwanaho. He's a therapist working with one of the rehabilitation centers here in Rwanda, and he's telling us how one can defeat that addiction and, of course, break that chain of addiction. Dennis, how do you compare your life when you're still there and your current life? Like, what are the benefits did you get out of breaking that chain and beating that addiction? Because there are people who may think, you know what, I'm drinking alcohol, I'm addicted to alcohol, I'm addicted to sex or anything, but I still have this life of mine. I don't know if there is life outside this. How do you compare your life when you're still that kind of person and as we speak?
I think the people who know me can easily tell the difference, but I don't seem to recognize the person who I was.
Yes.
It's a whole lot of difference, I had no hope in life. I had no purpose in life. I lived just for the day. So life has changed, and now it has given me meaning. I am more focused.
Yes.
I am not easily deviated, and I should say that I'm able to set goals and achieve them.
Great.
By then, I would not achieve. My relationship with family has been restored. I am more productive, not just to myself, but to society, to the nation at large. So, yeah.
Yes, that's very good. I love stories that are really that personal. And I'm sure if there is anyone who is following us right now, if they're addicted to anything, I'm sure they are getting that inspiration that it's very possible. Being an addict for 15 years and now you're a completely new person. Even when one meets you, he can't believe that you're once that person. Maybe another point that we can now talk about is the role of the community and the society in helping people to beat the addiction. How do you find that essential? What role does the society have in helping addicts beat their addiction?
Wow, that's a really huge point of discussion. But Purpose Rwanda is doing its role. For example, awareness, all sectors, all levels, not to hide people who have issues, and also not to stigmatize people who have issues. There is help, there is hope. So the society has to know that it is them. It begins with you, wherever you are, and to be able to learn more about it and to know to how to help people who are in it. So right from the stakeholders, I think the community has that responsibility of showing them love, but love that does not enable, or because there's help which is not good.
Yes.
You know, you're trying to help someone, but that very help is pushing him deeper into the habit. So sometimes you let the people know that there is hope, but again, you let them face the consequences. Because one of the things that helps your child or your beloved person to change is when they keep meeting those not so pleasant consequences.
Yes.
They start to think about themselves.
Yes. They think twice before doing it again.
You let them feel loved, but at the same time, tell them you have a choice to make, but whatever the consequences of your choice,
You'll have to face them.
you'll have to face them. Then that's a wake-up call that will help them to seek help.
Yes. Maybe, Dennis, there is this person who is following us right now, and he's been in this for many years. He's been fighting addiction, trying to recover, but ends up going back to the same habit. What can you tell that person who is following us right now?
I would like to tell that person that is following right now, because first of all, you've been dodging, you've been lying about, you've been taking angles. The last time we spoke about the stages of change. Some people have not even thought about change. Some people are just beginning to think about change. And when they start beginning to think about change, they take action, and then they implement those actions, and then they can maintain the level of recovery. So if you're still denying, I have no help for you, unfortunately, because for you to change, you have to be really desperate. You have to be desperate to change and know and accept that, you know what, I'm hooked. I didn't know that I could steal. Maybe I've not yet been caught, but now you're already stealing. It is affecting you and you see it. So quit denying, admit it, and then look for ways, look for help. I am into faith-based, but I believe that some addictions, like some drugs, need detoxification. You don't just quit like that. But if it's not drugs and it's other habits, go cold turkey. That's a very good start for sure. Cold turkey means you just stop. Stop thinking it is an easy process. So, and give your life to God. Give your life to God, because if you can trust that dealer that is not giving you rat poison or some other stuff, and you have faith in that person, why can't you have faith in God? In your Creator. And he's the one who gives you an identity. Because this addiction gives you some sort of self-image. And until you change that self-image, it is hard to break it. So I seek help and maintain. When you seek help, start replanning. Plan your life. Get a purpose. Get something to look forward to. Get a focus, you know,
Yes.
so that these things that distract you into that behavior find you focused. And
Yes. Thank you very much, Dennis. One more thing that I think many people struggle with is when you're trying to break this chain and you're trying to beat this addiction, you already have your friends. Those that are near you, those you go together to look for the pushais and those people, the drug dealers. And when they hear that you're going to like be another person, change to a better person, they say, you know what did you lack for you to go that way? Like that peer pressure thing that still comes up. What if there is someone who is following us right now and they want to beat the addiction, but they are still facing that peer pressure thing? How will people see me, the ones that we used to go together? What can you tell to those specific people?
Yeah, the old friends or the so-called friends, they are not friends actually if they are leading you down the wrong path. You just have to disconnect, you know. Time comes where you have to put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but you can only love others the way you love yourself. You don't love your own self, you can't love others enough. And it is not easy. You have to change environment. That's why I said you seek help in a rehab center, also you change environment, change contact. Please keep away from that company the same way you can keep away from hell itself. Yeah, there's no, because until you break free, and then reorganize and rediscover yourself, those people, they keep pulling you back. Myself, at first, they didn't believe, they laughed. Then they were annoyed. Then I became an enemy. You know, people who used to greet you can no longer greet you. They look at you as a stranger, but now when we meet, they ask me, how did you do it?
How did it come about? How did you manage?
Yeah, so time comes, it's not that they don't like it, they really want it, but they don't imagine it being possible. So when you start 2 years, 3 years down the road, now you're strong enough even to lift them up. But before you can support yourself, please run away, run for your life.
Yes, that's very true and informative. Maybe one more question that one would ask, you're part of those people who've like really changed and you're like doing your best to help others change. What message now do you give to the people that have really changed, are no longer addicts, but they are keeping it to themselves and they say, what if, let's say I'm working in a certain office, how will people see me when I go on camera and say that I was once addict for 10 years or 5 years or something, and they don't want like people to know who they were before, when instead it could be helping other people to recover as they have recovered. What message do you give to those particular people?
I can only tell them that you may think people don't know, but they actually know.
This world
it's a small world. The people know, and whatever happens in life is a lesson. These experiences we go through, they are meant to teach us. And just like at school when you learn, you ought to pass on that knowledge. You ought to pass on that information, because whatever you keep, you lose. And whatever you give out, you gain in the long run. I started helping people for my own sake, because it helps you to stabilize and to recover and to be confident that now you have really recovered. So I would say that whatever you went through is meant for someone out there.
Definitely.
And it's more blessed to give than to receive. Because when you are in the lifestyle of addiction, everything it's me, myself, and I. I want. So when you're lucky to break free, now you have to reverse. Look more to others, focus on that one person. Even if it is one person in life, it makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe as now we head to our conclusion, the conclusion of our today's show, before I let you go, I would want to know, at that particular rehab center that you work with on a day-to-day basis, I got this question: how do you see people like coming to know the importance of having rehab centers? Do people in Rwanda really understand the importance of having these rehab centers, and do they really come in plenty to look for help?
Of course, the demand is more than the supply of these centers. Majority of the people have come to know about the medical centers that are around the government institutions, and there are quite a number of them now, though they are also overcrowded. But regarding faith-based rehabilitation, I think majority don't know about it. But given the scale and the magnitude of the issue, we have to bring all means possible to know. So some have not yet recognized, and those who recognize, they are short of space. They find the places are packed, packed. So, but we focus more on the assets we have rather than on the needs.
Yes.
So we can utilize the assets that we have to do what we can from where we are.
Yes, well said, well put. Yes, as Dennis really said, it's a big problem. It's an issue that we're facing as a country, and it's very apparent. And as he just said, the demand is higher than the supply, which shows that it's really an issue that we are facing, and we all have a role that we can play, and it's the reason to why we have Purpose Rwanda that helps you to live a positive, addiction-free and purposeful life. Then as we conclude, Dennis, do you have some departing words you can give to people who are following us today?
I'll just tell them that whatever you believe is true. If you believe that there is no hope for you or for your child, it will end up that way. But if you believe that it is possible, I want to tell you that you still have it within your means to break through, because the only help that you will have is that help from within, more than from without.
Yes, thank you very much, Dennis. It was really good having you join us today. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
It's always a pleasure.
And we hope that next time when we invite you, you shall of course come.
It's an honor. I will.
Yes, thank you very much. And of course, this marks the end of our today's show, Purpose Rwanda. Thank you very much for your company. In case you just tuned in, I just want to let you know that this show and previous shows, you can find them on our YouTube channel, Purpose Rwanda. You can also follow us and of course like our different pages on social media, on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, I am Levi Mutanganchuro. Have a nice time.